Today, I'm going to go through the story of DeFi Maestro. DeFi Maestro actually shows how he goes from 100k to 700k from day 1 to day 70. He did that in 70 days, and you can see his story actually on Twitter unfolding live because he's still tweeting, and thanks to that he of course got massive following. And in this video, I'm going to go through different days from day 1, showing what might he be thinking at the current stage, why that might be a good decision. And generally speaking, we don't have enough of those kind of traders showing their thinking, showing what kind of portfolio they're building, explaining steps one by one as well. He really did that. This is really amazing because thanks to that you can see for yourself what kind of investment thesis he got along the way. So that's really cool stuff. Of course, do not copy his moves directly, but try to understand them, especially that those moves were already in the past in the particular space and time, so you don't want to copy them right now, but it's always interesting to understand what kind of reasoning is behind the particular moves. So let's get started. As you can see, he's starting with 100k here with the day 1 portfolio reset. He's going to be using combination of LPs for passive rewards, degen altcoin trading to trade on this market, and sorting along the way. Now, if you go to day 2, you can see this is his current composition. Basically, he has some ETH plus USDC, so that's 1/3 of his portfolio as an LP on Trader Joe. Trader Joe is the biggest DEX on Avalanche, but also on right now on Arbitrum and BNB. So that's pretty cool. Then he has some RDNT tokens, image and AI tokens, so playing into AI, DICE tokens and Joe tokens. So this is mostly DeFi plus AI play, and this is what he got in the first step. Now, you can see his exact reasoning here. So he explains what he's getting into. This is the first steps here in the topic. So that's the day 1. Now this is the day 2. He didn't do any changes apart from selling some ETH for more Joe and RDNT. Now pretty decent day. So you can go then to next day. As you can see, he's pretty active in the very beginning, so selling, buying. So he already sold some of image and AI stack for 10k on the pump, and he changed that into RDNT. So he after the pump he directly moved from one token to another, as you can see here, left the remaining image AI as moonback, so he'll be fine with losing that, but he already took the profits and put them into RDNT token. And thanks to that, he has most of the holding in RDNT token. Now, sold all ETH and doing more, added some more DICE and looking for minor dips on RDNT to add more. So his thesis is mostly based right now about RDNT and staking. So as you can see in day number 4, he has 50k in RDNT right now. That's also 20% growth. Image AI also grew 200%. So that was his moonback. He ended up with $130,000. That's 34% from the beginning on day 4. So that's already pretty good from the very beginning. Of course, crypto is super volatile, so it all depends on like what you're going to do. He sold some ETH LPs for different alts, so he liquidated that position he had in the beginning on Trader Joe, where he had the LP for ETH USDC. Here he's left with USDC still, but exchange this sold ETH for different altcoins. He basically bought VTX, Joe and DICE. So this is basically what he's going into, and the great day all across as expected. FOMC was pretty bullish, so this is the event he was playing into. And this is the narrative he's taking. He's basically looking for different tokens that have high TVL, so many people are using the particular protocol. Strong economics, which means that they will not fall in a short period of time, and basically this is the kind of tokens he's looking into. So again, day 5, basically he sold he bought even more RDNT tokens. So actually half of his position already on day 5 is all into the RDNT, and he's probably monitoring that very closely, adding to the position. Then he also added 8k into AGC token, and he's fully in altcoins right now. So this is the very risky move, but he probably is monitoring position very closely to liquidate it on when it pumps, and he does not want to hold on to it for a very long period of time. He really predicted the move correctly, so he didn't do any changes. As you can see, on day 6, he already is at the stage of 166k, 66% move up, thanks mostly to the RDNT tokens and a bunch of others. VTX is only down here from the beginning. AGC is also a little bit down, 23%, but that was super small position. He's basically right now winning thanks to the RDNT position, and this is really important here because he's fully allocated into RDNT. As you can see, he's right now derisking a little bit, so selling RDNT on day 7 into Joe. So Joe is the token related to the DeFi trader Joe DEX that he was using also for LPing. He's still selling that and changing RDNT into Joe. That's on day 7. So he also discusses different tokenomics, different changes. Basically, as you can see, day 8, he tries to de-risk RDNT, and he basically takes all his profits from RDNT into Joe. So right now, most of his position is in Joe. So he has 100k in Joe. Everything else is different altcoins. As you can see, AGC was not really a good bet here. He lost basically 53%, which is normal. This is what happens if you try to trade. Also on DICE, he has minus 70%, minus 8% on VTX. So this is really what you do if you try to trade different altcoins. So this is day 8. Day 9, Joe is actually getting more steam. RDNT is still getting a little bit more steam. He doesn't do any changes. His total value is going actually to almost 200k. So that's mostly thanks to Joe, which got 24% from the previous day, which is really amazing. And again, he doesn't do any changes. There's a little bit of pullback here, going 5k down. Now, he doesn't do anything here. Day 12, I think he got a break of 1 day. Basically sold VTX and AGC for RDNT. So those were the tokens that he was losing on. AGC, again, he lost 50% on that. You can see that actually he sold the token and didn't want to hold it more because probably didn't want to take more losses on that. So he cut the losses, take the position out, and bought more RDNT. So actually he bought more into the token that he was winning on, which is also pretty important here. Also, he sold some Joe also to add into RDNT. Unfortunately, some of these positions are down. So as you can see, he got back down to 150k. There was a little bit of pullback in February. So his portfolio went to 200k and then down to 150k. So basically got 25% down actually from the ATH, which is pretty normal, right? This is something you should expect as well. Now, no changes on day 13. Day 14, again, no changes. But his portfolio is a little bit down thanks to all the positions. Right now, he's mostly in Joe, RDNT, DICE, and Image and AI. So he has really accumulated mostly in Joe and RDNT. This is his most important positions here. So he's betting big on Joe and RDNT. Now, day 15, again, some changes. He's selling DICE and 5k in Image and AI for RDNT. So actually more adding more positions to RDNT itself. So most of his portfolio right now is just RDNT plus Joe. Also selling everything else to adding Tails as a new project into which he's going. Right now he has only free tokens that he's monitoring, and he has a portfolio in. So he has some thoughts about trimming Joe and adding more to Tails. This is pretty interesting. Also, he's discussing different kind of protocols, for example, why he went into tails here. Now, day 15, no changes. His portfolio is around 160k, so no major movements. 17 days, no movements as well. Small uptick. As you can see, no changes day 18, no changes 19 day, no changes day 12, but the portfolio went up mostly thanks to RDNT, which got super up. 88%, so it's back to 200k when it comes to the portfolio. Now he decided to sell some of tails for Joe at break even and exchange RDNT for Joe as well. So altogether he has 3/4, 75% in Joe and 25% of his portfolio in RDNT. So again, major consolidation here, mostly going into Joe and RDNT. This is his biggest bets, and this is what he's holding right now. So 200k. Then going a little bit selling for RDNT for relay. This is on the uptick. So basically he got the uptick and his portfolio is up to 215k altogether, and then going up a little bit of downside. He's holding this Joe RDNT relay tokens, now selling Joe for RDNT more, so the risking Joe position. Day 24, no changes. 25, there were some changes related to, again, from RDNT to Joe, so he's trading back and forth between those two, and really cool stuff about holding the positions. His portfolio is oscillating about around 200k right now, so he's selling RDNT for Joe again, so he's going back to the position of holding 75% in Joe and the rest is RDNT plus relay. This is pretty interesting stuff. Now he's adding KWENTA, and you will see that KWENTA will stay with him also to the end of his challenge. So he's adding KWENTA, a little bit downside, relay is going down, he's back to 180k. Now, also he's selling a little bit of Joe, adding Vela, another exchange. So he now has Joe, RDNT, KWENTA, Vela, and relay all together. So everything is pretty much in DeFi right now. Different DeFi protocols. A little bit of uptick to 100k, and he's basically staying with that position pretty much to the end. So he's selling some of relay, he's selling some of Vela, and buying more Joe. So again, Joe is his main position on day 13. No changes on day 31. He's staying with Joe, RDNT, Vela, and KWENTA. 216k, that's his main. That's the total value. Day 32, no changes. Now day 36, he's selling Vela position for 20k, reducing Joe position by 33k, going just back into USD, and traded the stables to 60k on KWENTA.io itself. So maybe he's getting actually some of the rewards back thanks to how KWENTA operates as the exchange, which was pretty smart move. So this is what he's holding right now, 60k in USD. So that's the risk. Basically, you know, this is 60% of what he was starting with. Then 100k in Joe, 30k in RDNT, and 24k in KWENTA. Now he's going into doing some changes. He's changing that 60k of Joe so basically buying with stables Joe, and his position in Joe is again 75%. So he's going back and forth with that. Joe is most of his position right now, and as you can see, he's also bought more of KWENTA with Joe, so they're risking a little bit. But basically, those are the three tokens right now that he will hold to the end. Joe, KWENTA, and RDNT, and he's at 200k right now. So this is what he's trying to hold. You can see he's adding more LQTEY, a new token, bought with Joe as well, so having a smaller position, but also he increased position on KWENTA itself, and he has right now those kind of free things, and then also opened USDC level long with RDNT. So this is what he's doing. Basically, total value is still pretty much the same between 200, going between 200k and 220k. So this is also interesting. As you can see, there are many days where even though he changes, nothing really happens. And now On day 44, he really does a lot of changes, adding again back to some ETH USC, so LPing, adding back to Velo position, doing AVAX USDT, and then actually going back with Joe to only 10K. So I imagine Joe was actually pretty much going up. He wanted to derisk that and did many changes. His total value go to 260K in total. So that's the day 44. So actually, it's not going one by one, I think, for some reason. On day 42, actually, you can see that before that, he really added a lot of positions and started to do a lot of stuff in DeFi. Those are mostly stuff on Avalanche. So he's really centered around one ecosystem, trying to go into different DeFi protocols, but within one ecosystem. Mostly all in on Avalanche here. So that's also pretty interesting. And basically, as you can see, he's holding those positions. He's out of the Joe, which goes down by 10%. So he managed to actually get out at the top of Joe and put more stuff into RDNT with this massive position of RDNT of being 250K in total. So this is super interesting as well. And basically, this is the moment where he really goes up from. This is the basically how he performs. As you can see, he's oscillating between those 200K and then boom to 400K. And basically, this was done thanks to Joe, which goes a lot of way. So he managed to change RDNT to Joe after the dip, and the Joe basically managed to go up 53%, which put his position at 266K, and then he has some into USD, some in USD, some in RDNT, and some in KWENTA, but those are much smaller positions. So again, most of his position is in Joe, which is going up. He bought that on a dip with USD, and this is pretty interesting as well. Again, as you can see at this point, he's mostly into Joe, and this is what he will try to use to leverage his position even more. He's de-risking a little bit, so he's going back into stable, selling some of his Joe position after this massive run-up of Joe. So as you can see, even though Joe is going a little bit up still, after this 55% move, he basically managed to sell some of that. And at this point, day 49, most of his position is in stables, and he tries to deploy that later on. So again, you can see day 51, he manages to get back into Joe after the dip, and his position actually goes a little bit down to 390K, selling ETH USD for Joe. So he has now massive Joe position. Almost everything is in Joe, and some of that in KWENTA. And he decided to go all in on Joe. And then again, Joe is going up quite a lot. So after that, he's selling some of the Joe into USDC and buying also some of the DeFi. But basically at this point, his portfolio is mostly going all in on Joe. So he has this one token that he decided that will even do more moves here. So if you go day 52, he already, thanks to those massive moves in Joe, his portfolio is going close to 500K at this point. So buying even more Joe with USDC and ETH, and has Joe, KWENTA, and Mute as one of the tokens. And basically this is what he stays with. Again, massive uptick again thanks to Joe. He has now 440K in Joe. Other tokens are also doing something, but this is most of his portfolio right now is attached to Joe. So this is what he's doing here. He's de-risking a little bit, selling Joe to do ARP LP on Trader Joe. So Trader Joe added Arbitrum support, and he's trying to do that thing. So day 53, and basically he's trying to stay in Joe at this point as well. So going fast forward to where we are now, because as you can see, we're going closer to April, and his position is oscillating around 500K at this point. He's trying to de-risk his Joe position, which was massive. For example, at day 57, he's most in stables. He has only 50K in Joe. and he started to do, for example, FlexLP on Uniswap. He has some in KWENTA, but basically his total value of his position is 600k. So he sold Joe after another massive uptick, and he will try to come back a little bit to that, but most of that money is right now in stables. Some of money is in ARP on Trader Joe, some on FlexLP on Uniswap. So he wants to get some passive income as well. So we're getting closer to day 60, day 61. He's back in the Joe position. So probably after some moves on Joe, he decided to go back into the position as well. Day 62, most of the money is still in Joe. He has close to 500k in Joe, some Flex, LP, and KWENTA, and again, holding Joe, which gives him most of his growth here in terms of the total value of the portfolio. So he's getting closer to 650k at this point. So really massive stuff. He's leveraging some more in Joe, doing some leverage on Trader Joe platform. His his total value is going back to 600k, so a little bit down, but that's pretty natural. Still around 600k. We're on day 66 now, going up thanks to Joe again, and this is a massive move up, because Joe is again going 10% up, so his portfolio is getting closer to 700k, and this is what I wanted to show you. Basically, you can see that this is going up and down, but all in all together, day 17 posted just 3 hours ago. Most of the position he did was in Joe. He's now also has a massive position in Pendulum, LP, and KWENTA, but most of the money he made along the way was thanks to leveraging Joe and RDNT. Those were the token in the beginnings, and then he managed to go between Joe and stables, so selling on the top, buying the dip. So he was selling once the Joe was going up, expecting that there will be a pullback, buying back, and then riding again, selling again. So he did that multiple times, really timing well the market and the sentiments that if something is going up massively, then probably you should de-risk it to a certain point. Really interesting lesson. I really recommend you going through what he was doing, really through everything, and trying to understand what really brought his position to this level. Also, you will see that, for example, he's not afraid of losing some money, of doing different changes. He's not afraid of having this accumulation just in Joe or just in RDNT positions, and having these massive positions for a day or two. Also, he's not doing day trading. He's trying to do maybe 1 to 3 positions at most, 1 to 3 trades at most in a day. So it's not like looking at the daily charts, or maybe looking but not really trading every single minute. So the less trades you take, probably the better in this case. Altogether, again, this is not a financial advice, purely educational content. There's so much to trading that if you want to get better at it, the best way is to read and listen to people who are doing that, and also trade yourself. This is also the best way to learn what you're doing. Thank you for watching. For everything else, subscribe to the channel. I will cover probably more traders like that. I'm thinking about doing this kind of challenge myself, of like, starting with some kind of a small portfolio and trying to grow it along the way, because I think it's cool. Of course, mostly for educational purpose rather than anything financial. Not recommended really. So thank you for watching. Subscribe. See you in the next video.